and rugby grounds. We have many and we look upon this building as the birthplace of our country. Padraig P. Sean.
I got about 15 minutes on this, and then I got 2 more.
Slides. But after my time in the Rotunda, we took this flat on Lower Bagot Street, and it was very convenient. It's almost downtown, and we stayed there with my sister Claire with us, and we stayed there until March when it was time to go back to Galway for final exams. Who, by that time, after 4.5 years, I had gotten so I could pass as a native. And what I didn't realize was when you talk to somebody on the telephone, you sometimes forget, and your accent slips. And after I was there about 2 months, I called him on the phone. He said, "My God, you're a Yank." I said, "I am." But I felt very proud of myself that
that's where Lower Bagot Street starts there, just as we came over the bridge. So this is all
right. This is and we were somewhere along right in there. I have forgotten the number, but it's so nice and convenient. You're almost downtown. Good, yeah.
That building, you know, is one of the other maternity hospitals. Hollis Street.
That's Hollis Street, okay. You know, I was, in my mind this morning, I was going over it because south of the Liffey, the 2 Catholic hospitals, Hollis Street and the Coombe. North was the Rotunda. And of course, they didn't speak to one another kindly, at least. But in the bylaws of the Rotunda Hospital, it said at the time that no Catholic may ever be master of the Rotunda, and so there was that. But there was very little they could do about abortions and things like that because they were against the federal law, so it didn't make any difference. But they had the whole territory north of the Liffey. Somewhere around here, too, there was a hospital where Noel Gibney worked, and it had the greatest name in the world. It was a hospital for the incurable and hopeless, a name like that. And you would think, oh my God, nobody would ever go in that place. And it had a waiting list longer than any other place because the care was so good. And it wasn't people who were dying, it was people like who had rheumatoid arthritis and things like that. They were incurable. They weren't dying, they just needed somebody to take good care of them.
Was that Bagot Street Hospital?
It could be by now. I just know it was in this general area because we were normally at Mercer's, which is no longer functioning.
No, that's for tropical medicine now.
Mm-hmm.
But Bagot Street, when I told you we were on the Bagot Street upper, there was a building on the right-hand side. That was Bagot Street Hospital, and that possibly could have been the one.
Could be, yeah. It's been so long, and I just knew because a friend of mine worked there. But our students would have a choice of which of the 3 obstetrical hospitals, Hollis Street or the Coombe, which is further down nearer to Dublin Castle in that general area.
Well, that's new. They built a whole new Coombe.
Did they?
Yeah. I was born in the old Coombe.
Uh-huh.
And that was demolished, and they built a new one now.
Pretty much the students did all home deliveries, and so we ranged as far out as Cabra and Finglas, going out to deliver babies in their homes. Somewhere along here used to be the American College. No, the consulate. before the embassy was built down in Walsbridge,
Right.
they had a consular office here in Marion Square, which is what this is on the left.
Just the American college there, they take in foreign students to teach them English and also do graduate courses. And stuff.
Ah, okay. I saw the sign. I wondered
He used
what
to be
the...
he used to live there. Joyce. Or is it Joyce? Yeah, it is Joyce.
That's the Oscar Wilde statue,
Or
isn't
Oscar
it?
Wilde, sorry. I always get those two mixed up. Oscar Wilde lived in the place that is the American College now.
Oh, okay.
I think he actually wrote one of his books there. I'll just tell you, on the right here, set back is the National Gallery of Ireland. That one. The next building up is the Natural History Museum. It's in that gate there. And this big building on the end here, this is the Parliament, the Irish Parliament.
That Leinster House?
Yeah. This is the Marion Street side, but you can also get into it from the other side, down to Clare Street, which is the more famous.
Now, in Irish, the T, I know what D is, but the people in the lower house are TDs.
Yeah.
What does T stand for?
You're asking a good one because my Irish is not great.
Okay, okay. Let's just call him Member of Parliament. That'll do fine.
I haven't got a great interest in politics because we haven't got very good politicians.
No, I've been listening to the television and they're really, well, of course they've been having a bad time for a long time.
Wait, I have a question. There's such a thing as good politicians?
Yeah.
Generally dead.
That's a good politician.
Well, the Taoiseach here was pretty corrupt when he was alive, but they're lionizing him now as if he were the second coming.
He's a great fellow. And as I said when I heard all the tributes to him on TV, I said that he should have been in politics. He'd have been great.
It's a shame his wife
Yes,
fell and
that's right,
broke her
yeah.
leg. Yeah, terrible thing.
A long time under that happened, she's 80 something.
But she was at their summer place in Park Nasilla, and that's not too bad on his salary as Taoiseach, along with the other places he had.
Oh yeah. It's an island off the coast. People were queuing up to give him money. They made this into a hotel now. It's the Marion Hotel. Compared to those hotels. It's very one of the socialist hotel now.
Good.
And then we come back down Easton Street and down onto Green that way because the Green is all changed now with the Lewis, the new tram system. And I'll get you down as near to the yard as I can, and then so that I can get back around.
We didn't go to Randall.
Oh, right. I was thinking we were a bit ahead of ourselves.
We're just one step. Pub, one of my classmates was a toner.
Oh,
Had nothing to do with the pub, except if we passed it, I was doing
frequented, well.
it. Not in those days, no. now if I was still here.
Couldn't afford the real estate.
Yeah. You can see here the park and how nice, you know, and everything. To a certain extent, they're trying to preserve. This went downhill for a while, and then they built it back up. But really nice, well-kept places. The National Association of Nurses is here somewhere. I know it's where.
I think it's on one of these houses.
Is it? Yeah. And when we used to visit here, as they say, it was a basement flat, which was had the great value of being cheap, and where the three girls were living, and it was really great. But just an old Georgian, the buildings are so nice, they're kept so well, and I'd say they own that park. It was in the paper the other night. That's how I know. It's the last one of these in which the owners still own the park.
As we were driving past, the guide said something that one of these houses sold for over $5 million.
5.5.
5.5.
Not a bit surprised.
There's a house, my wife saw it up for sale further out in the suburbs in a place called Rathgar. It wouldn't be as big as these, and it was, the asking price was 6.25 euro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with the back around, and then I was heading for around.
That's great.
Then we can come back home, back into it. So that's what it's good. And you know the reason they had those parks? Because the Georgians loved their gardens, and none of the houses had gardens. So
Yeah,
that's why
right,
they had
right.
for the residents to go to.
Bill Clinton bought a condo in Kildare on a golf course. This was maybe 10 years ago, or maybe not that long ago, and I remember reading in the paper that he paid $1 million for it. And my comment was that when I was living here, you could buy Kildare for $1 million.
And get changed.
Absolutely right. I'm just dumbfounded.
Yeah, property is gone.
Now, this is the Grand Canal, right? Sean, this is the Grand Canal. We went over it last night. You can see how it's sort of silted in, and there's no barge traffic on it or anything anymore. But in its day, it was the pride of Ireland, with the Royal Canal.
The lifeline.
Yep.
This is the one Guinness used?
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a television station here, RTE, made a program, and they refurbished an old Guinness barge, and they got a guy to actually bring it the length of the 2 canals to make it up the program. You know, that program, the whole series. Quite interesting. Decent life,
I couldn't have delivered you because that wasn't in our district.
It's the old, what they call it, the old one. All that's left of the old club is, you remember there was kind of like a fort thing outside the pillars. They've left that as they built in behind the building, built in apartments and stuff.
The other thing that's made it difficult for me is so many of the things have changed the names because they wanted to honor the people from 1960. And all the railroad stations all have different names. Westland Row and Amiens Street, and all of those don't exist anymore. It's Connolly and Houston.
I still call them.
Do you?
By the old ones, yeah.
Well, it's confusing to me. And all the bridges over the Liffey, which used to have just the name of the street that led into them, and now all have somebody's name hooked up.
I like when ask the old stuff, but I still call Cable Street Bridge, Cable Street Bridge.
Yeah. Somewhere along here is Portobello Barracks, or was Portobello Barracks, which now has a different name. But that was the Army Barracks where we won the basketball championship.
That's just further on up the canal here.
Yeah, I know it's somewhere up along there.
We're turning left at the next bridge. If we went up to the next one after that, that's Rathmines. And then there used to be an entrance off the canal into the barracks there. But
Right,
now it's,
yeah, that
you
was
have to
where
go
we
up
were.
Rathmines and in sort of turn off on Rathmines, and that's the main entrance into the canal.
Yeah, is it Pierce? It may be. I forgot. But just from reading it, but certainly to us it was always Portobello.
The next bridge after this one is Portobello. They have cut all the stuff at the side of the canals back and kept them for a good few years. At day, but they seem to have been ignoring it now. There isn't funds to maintain it anymore.
And the story, which did I tell you of how I got this flat in Ranelagh? That I was traveling around with my newspaper with flats for rent, and so I went to this house, knocked on the door, and told the lady I was here to see about the flat, and she looked surprised and said, "Oh, okay," and she was the wife of a dentist, and she took me just almost across the street to where it was and showed it to me, and I took it on the spot because it was just what we were looking for. And she said, "How did you find out about the flat?" And I said, "It was in the paper." And she said, "I haven't advertised it yet." So I think of it as the St. Anthony who's find lost things. My flat was delivered to me by St. Anthony. And that's where I showed you all those pictures of the floats.
Yeah.
They assembled right outside the window of our flat there. 1954, the first St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin. We were lucky. I got pictures of all of the floats that were constructed.
So that was the very first one?
Very first St. Patrick's Day parade. As you know, it was a holy day of obligation, and there were no parades before that, but they had at that point, maybe 53, they organized something called Antostal to welcome visitors to this country, and they said we're going to have a parade, so they got it organized.
I think the only thing that people feel they're obliged to do on Patrick's Day now is get drunk.
That's true. But it used to be terrible because the American soldiers over in Germany the Armed Forces Network used to organize tours. Go to St. Patrick's Day in Ireland, and you know, all the soldiers came over here when you couldn't get a drink. It was a holy day, and the bars were all closed. And I met on several occasions, met them wandering around O'Connell Street. What the hell am I doing over here? I can't get a drink.
It was almost like Christmas Day.
Exactly. Yeah.
The swans out on the bank.
Yep. Yep. See the swans?
There's a particular stretch of the canal. Oh, there's a good bit out.
We would spend a lot of time, but maybe one pass through I might be seized by a fit of memory. They haven't forgotten that you're dying of hunger, James.
I'm not that bad.
We'll keep you alive.
I think I'll be okay.
Good. Oh, we can pick up something on Grafton Street. We're going to walk down the length of Grafton Street. There'll be something there.
That is McDonald's and all sorts down there. Burger King.
These are good sized houses.
Yeah, they'd be worth making money as well. The triangle, what used to be called the triangle. It's just on the right here. So it used to be the main part of the main
Right,
village
right.
of Brown.
And if I had paid for a place would have been very close right up here.
There used to be a building in the centre on a triangular piece of ground. And I think there's like public toilets.
Uh-huh.
They've only recently demolished it. Yeah.
As you can look up here and see the clock. See the clock on the building? That could very well have been the building. What's near this side of it is obviously new or refurbished. There was nothing like that building out here. But that looks like very well could have been exactly the spot I was looking for. Right there. Yeah, then there was an alley. You tell a little better, we get a little further. Obviously, I can't count on it still being a chemist shop, but things happen.
The house that I was talking about, that was, we were asking 6 that road there and turned left. So on that road now.
Yeah, mostly I got your camera.
Well, I can see anyone
Yeah.
looking.
Just a little further, yeah. No, it was right over the pharmacy, right there. Believe it or not, that's still the pharmacy. Because that alley was right across the street.
I'm going to pull in.
No, as long as they've seen it. I just wanted them to see where it was. That's absolutely the spot where we were, Susie.
Okay, what's the name of the street?
Ranelagh Road.
Spell it.
Ranelagh. And isn't it amazing that downstairs is still a pharmacy? God. And I recognize the alleyway across the street in my pictures taken of the floats for the parade. You're looking right down that alleyway.
Don't be those points.
Although the Dublin cleaners have one. Okay,
Turn left and then I get toward ground.
Yes.
Stevens Street.
we can go on to Stevens Green and Grafton Street.
So why was this area important for you to live in? Where was where,
It was important because they had a flat for rent.
oh, okay.
B, it was on a bus line,
Oh, okay.
which was, you had to, because we didn't have cars and our bicycles, because your mother never rode a bicycle.
Why?
She was afraid of them.
Huh.
And so even in Galway, where I would ride my bike, if we were together, I'd walk and push the bike while she and I walked.
Hmm.
But here in Dublin, I didn't have a bike even here, so we did everything by bus. And it was so convenient. I mean, you just hop out on the bus and you're into town in 5 minutes.
Saying the pace of life is faster now. From there, it would take you at least 15 minutes to get to town now on the bus.
Would it really? Yeah. Oh, well, there were no one owned cars. And in the city of Galway at that time, I'll bet there weren't 12 privately owned automobiles. 2 lawyers and 10 doctors, I suppose. But
Probably the parish priest probably has some problem.
but here in Dublin, the traffic jams were as bad as they are now, but they were all bicycles. There were millions of them. Especially right around Trinity, right there, curving around the Bank of Ireland. God, you could almost, if you wanted to, you could walk on the heads of the bicyclists to go across the street.
Did Mom work while you were?
Ah, no. She was at leisure. She worked in the summer at home, but the first summer, which would have been 53, I think, she was working at Howard Johnson's and hurt her back.
Oh.
And so she never really went out and worked anymore, and that was perfectly sensible. My sister Claire,
Right.
for the year she was here, she worked as a waitress in various restaurants and made a living.
I didn't realize she stayed a year with you guys.
Oh yeah, she did go here.
Between before she married Uncle Eddie and
That's right. And when you know, in between final exams and graduation,
you went to
we
Italy.
took 3 weeks and went down to. We started in Britain, went to Paris, and then went to Italy, to Rome.
I know more about that than you do.
Probably cost us about $7.50 the way we went.
Nana was okay with Aunt Claire coming over here for a year?
But yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Well, I was here, so it was all right. You know, her big brother. You know, they
Surprised.
actually trusted your mother more than they trusted me. So
Well,
that was,
yeah, I knew that.
that was why it was all right.
Nana knew Mom would take care of her. her back again in a car accident, didn't she? When we were in with her, somebody rear-ended her.
Oh, that was, it wasn't her back. That's exactly right. She sustained a brain hemorrhage, which destroyed her balance mechanism. And it was a very, very minor accident and a very minor brain hemorrhage, but it was just that it was in just the wrong spot. It just, if you want to be really scientific about it, it was a supranuclear vestibular derangement. That'll put that in your pipe and smoke it.
I knew she was never the same walking around.
And so she could never drive again. She could never walk by herself. She couldn't go shopping. She couldn't do any of those things.
That was before she got cancer, right?
Yep. It was about 1963, 64, the latest.
Yeah, because I was in the car with her.
And you were out visiting.
I think just Chris and I were in the car with
What's
her.
his name? The orthopedic surgeon, Fable Chavin's wife.
Oh, yeah.
And you were stopped at a light, and Dr. Oh dear, what was his name? A doctor's daughter hit her.
Oh, jeez.
Again, purely accidental, no malice involved, but she was in bed for a year.
Yeah. I remember that. She used to always say the rosary. Climbed in bed with her. She'd be in there. I took lots of naps. Because she'd take a nap on Christmas at school. The boys were in school. Grandma came down for a while, didn't she?
She did, yeah. Yeah.
I remember that. She came down to help out for a while and about drove Mom crazy.
Very.
Sent her back quicker than that, and then Grandma was ready.
Well, your grandmother had power to drive strong men to tears.
And she did.
I was shocked to hear that the Shelburne is being redone.
Yeah, they kind of let it go. It's a bit of down, I suppose. It was overdue facelift. But I don't know whether they're redoing it in the way it was, refurbishment or, redoing it altogether. But they're spending, I believe, I heard from a chauffeur who had the contract for looking after these. He was telling me they're spending something like 48 million euro.
Well, I can tell you that the last time but one, I think, that I was over, it had gotten very seedy, and the public rooms and all of that. Although we had dinner there, and they had a nice dinner, and they put on a good show, but it was decidedly seedy. Now, this is one of the four corners of Stevens Green, and you can see all of the people displayed there.
Some of them are good.
All of that reminds you of Paris a little bit.
Yeah.
Percent left bank.
Yeah, we can't take pictures now with the photograph. These have
The Shelburne's on one side of Stevens Street.
Look, James Batman. And Clint Eastwood. Did you see with the big gun?
No.
Yeah.
I saw some of the other things, but I did not see that.
Now who's this here?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
There's the show.
There it is, right there.
Did we stay there or?
No, we never stayed there. We had dinner there, and then they had a show with the dinner. It was really very, very nice. And back in the 50s, of course, all along here, you would see the horse-drawn carriages because there were. Oh yeah, here we are. not many taxi cabs or anything like that, but now I'm sure they're more a tourist thing, but in those days they were essential transportation.
Yeah, there's one over there taking a family around or somebody around.
And it's Indian students sitting around here. Pretty normal. And right here on this corner, which wasn't what it is now, it was a pub where I had my first Heineken lager. I remember that well. Anyways,
I'm going to do a U-turn here.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Then you can give me a shout whenever you're ready.
Sure. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, if you see the clock down there, that was Mercer's Hospital where I did my my training. There's also a yeah, that's what it was. Theater there. The Gaiety or the Gaiety. Okay, well, we'll meet you over. I don't know how long it's going to take.
You have my mobile number?
But I don't think we have a phone. Does
No.
anybody
No.
have a phone?
No.
No.
We
Okay.
couldn't afford it.
The College of Surgeons is right up along that. That's where one of the battles of the 1916 Rising were. Like that, John.
The most recent tour place.
Westland Road, right near the railroad station.
You don't really go to the tourist places around here. Gettysburg, God,
There was, I guess, back then, you'd come up from Galway on the train. And I don't remember exactly which station it may. Westland Row sounds right to me. But then to go down to Cork and Cove to catch the ships, we'd have to transfer across town to one of the other.
Kingsbridge. That's what's called Euston Station.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I think the Galway train now comes into Euston.
It does, yeah, yeah. I was supposed to have gone down on the train yesterday, except that I had screwed up the schedule. There you are, Sean. It's a surgery over there. Go in there and get a checkup.
All these buildings are all the faculty buildings of Trinity College.
Uh-huh.
Century says Carmelite Church. I got a picture of the sun.
Well, the house on REM, house on Lower Baggett Street.
Now that's Pierce Station now. Okay.
What did it used to be?
Westland Row.
Westland Road?
We're on Westland Row, the street right now. But the train station is the same as the street, but they were all changed.
I think most people still call it Westland Road.
Yeah. Well, the impact of the name of Patrick Pierce and all that is now lost in the mist of history as well.
It is to some people, are. There are some people that what they call the diehards.
God, when I was here, it was whenever they had an election. That was the only issue. Where were you in 1916? You know?
It's funny they never asked Devon Lear that. My mother, rest her, used to always say he was hiding in Boland's Mill.
No, that's fine. You can't get it, Sean. 44 O'Donovan. Thank you, Bob.
they were looking at the commentary to the match, the World Cup match. And you have the TV there. But the reception in the city is not great.
Yeah. Getting around is really fierce.
Oh, well, Friday. Probably. So it's gone now, it's like this every day. But it's really and truly, when I started into this business, I could leave my house, go to the airport, pick up somebody, and have them back on the south side and back home in about an hour and 40 minutes. Now it takes me 3 hours. Because it takes nearly, depending on the time of day, it could take you anything from an hour to get across or more to get across to the airport. And then that means you're leaving well ahead of the flight arriving. So there's no detail of it if it's delayed or anything up on teletext or on the internet or anything. So you go spend an hour and a half getting to the airport, and then if the flight's delayed by half an hour or an hour, you're sitting over there for another hour. So like it could take 4 or 5 hours depending on the flight.
Yeah.
Galway won't be like this, will it, Dad?
Well, in rush hour it would be.
I think it would, because there's fewer streets.
Oh, okay.
It funnels everything into Shop Street. And,
Square and all that. But I think outside the rush hour,
Right.
it shouldn't be too bad. But, you know,
what we're going to do mainly is we're going to walk. That's the way we did on Grafton Street. We'll walk from Eyre Square down past St. Nicholas Cathedral, the old one, and then let the fellow pick us up there, and then we'll go out and we'll be in far less populated areas, and we won't see this kind of thing.
Where's the church that has this side altar? That's in Galway, right? The side altar dedicated, or?
Oh no, that's here, the Pro Cathedral.
Oh, okay.
But it's in the interest of time, I'm not sure that it's worth your effort.
Okay. I just couldn't remember which city it was in.
In what I think is a terrible misuse of the Irish language. That building is the trade union building,
Liberty Hall.
and it's right near the main bus station, which they call the bus arras, the house of the bus, which is sort of silly, I thought. But
Which building is
a
it?
direct translation.
they were serious about it in those days.
That replaces the original Liberty Hall, right?
I don't know what was on that. That was built when I was quite young, so I don't know what was on that site before. We built that monstrosity. I think it's the ugliest building in the world.
The one with the green.
With
The
tall tower.
It has generally been considered that for many years.
It's the highest building in Dublin, but the highest structure in the city now is the Millennium Spire in O'Connell Street.
Right. Which is about as ugly as anything I've seen in a long time.
But granted, it was obviously nice. They spent €5 million on it.
Yeah. Well, somebody, and they also put a bunch of statues on O'Connell Street. I guess one of the taxi drivers was telling me that it was fairly recently, and they look like Bugs Bunny dancing.
Yeah. We drove down O'Connell Street and we saw
no
this.
idea what they could possibly mean.
I haven't been down O'Connell Street. I can't remember the last time I went down O'Connell Street.
Oh, they look absolutely ridiculous.
There's the customs house again, Jim. We passed it several different directions. But
On the other side of the bridge
Yeah.
here.
you know what? For the sake of just looking at the outside of the Rotunda Hospital, it's sort of silly. Can you turn left and go down here?
No.
No. Okay.
I would follow the down to the side.
That's all right. We keep going. In the interest of time, I want to get them to Dublin Castle in time to take the tour. So
I didn't realize that was in the Sure, we won't be long. Once we get through this here, we'll
You
use
think
around.
right then, yeah.
Hello?
Hi, John.
Yeah?
I was Rich Prince.
I am it.
Right. I'm planning your things for film and that. I just noticed something on the JT print and design in what's the statement. I don't know whether it's meant to be there or not, but there's a little kind of a dash, black dash over the ranch number. How meant to be there?
I don't know. No, I'd have to have. I'm out and about, so I can't check it. Could you leave it and I'll ring you on Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. But are the cards okay to go with?
Yeah, sure. I suppose it doesn't make any odds whether I output it now or a month because I don't know if they're going to get to it today anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I'll check it tonight and I'll ring you on Monday.
Okay, well I got it all planned anyway, so if you just ring me on Monday, let me know.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Emmett, thanks.
Right, see you
Bye-bye.
then. Bye.
Bye. Get some stationery printed. Problems, obviously. I think they work on the suit.
Yeah. Where would you think it would?
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
That's right.
That spike they put up, is that in the spot where Nelson's pillar used to be?
Yes. It was funny, I remember when the IRA blew the pillar up and there was some archive film on the TV there a while back and it was showing, they had a bulldozer in, bulldozing all the stuff away, and I actually knew the man who was driving the bulldozer.
Oh.
He was a neighbour of mine. I always remember coming home saying he was working, clearing that up. He died a long time since, but it's funny when you see film like that and you know that the person that's driving it is.
Right, yeah. It was reported at the time that when the IRA blew the top off the pillar, it was done so skillfully that there wasn't a single window shattered in the area. When the Irish Army blew up the rest of the pillar, they blew out every window in sight.
Yes.
I don't know how true that is, but it's a good story.
I think there's a fair bit of truth in that, all right.
But they probably had access to more explosives.
The army guys could do it legally. The other guys were doing it, trying to do it covertly.
Yeah.
Still able to do a better job.
And we're coming down behind the statue of Charles Stewart Parnell. See right in here in front of us? We got in trouble because of Kitty O'Shea. Kitty had the bad taste to be married to someone else at the time.
off your knowledge of Irish history. That's a lot better than mine.
And on the corner where you see the big words ambassador, that used to, there was two things there. There was a legitimate theater, and there was a movie house that your mother and I went to on several occasions.
Yeah, I think it's still that way. The Ambassador is still a cinema, and there is a theatre at the back. Still.
And I think I told you, I'm very pleased to tell you that Conway's and Mooney's pubs across the street from the hospital are as disreputable as they were then.
I like going to some of the pubs around here.
Conway's may be a tad upscale from Mooney's right now, but thank God for the sterilizing power of alcohol. You weren't afraid to have a drink, but and I told you the story of the night, my last night here, and we were so drunk we could hardly see straight, and we were called out at 5 in the morning to deliver a baby. Well, as we walked up this street here, it was just up the next corner that we met a milkman, and we flagged him down and bought 2 bottles of milk to try to settle our stomachs before we arrived at the house to deliver the baby.
You probably don't have milkmen anymore.
And there are some, all right. As a young boy, I used to deliver the milk with our local milkman, and he had a horse-drawn milk tray, milk float. And
Yeah, go ahead. That's the rotunda over there with the copper cupola on the tower, and this is the theater here on the corner. And when you needed a doctor to come and deliver your baby, you'd go right in, and there's a door right in the center of the car park there, and you'd go up to the door, and you'd convince the porter that you were serious and that you needed a doctor, and if he felt your case merited it, he would allow the doctors to go out and deliver you. Oh yeah, the whole porters ran medicine in Ireland. I know at Mercer's where I worked, if you want to come in the emergency area, if you couldn't convince him that you were sick enough, you were out of luck.
so he was like a triage.
He was indeed. The first ever.
Yeah, so like I used to deliver the milk with him in the mornings, and then before I got to school, and then on Friday night and Saturday morning I'd go around the houses collecting the money at the end of the week for what we had delivered. But he had a horse-drawn one.
See, that's the door right there in the middle. And here's Mooney's right here, and Conway on the corner. Many a happy hour we spent with those gentlemen. And when the ambulance, if you were out in the district and you had a case that was so bad that you had to bring them back in, the ambulance would come down here around the corner, and there was an ambulance type entrance here on the side that you could take the patient in that way.
First door there, that's the newspaper, the LA newspaper on the footlock.
Oh.
That's the offices of it.
Yeah, this is all changed now, so obviously they modernized it, but so I had a resident who had reduced the entire practice of medicine to a series of numbered steps. He was an English guy, and he would come in, we'd call him, and we'd be somewhere in trouble, and he'd come out, and he'd come in and he'd say, now chaps, here we go, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, open the window, it's a little stuffy in here. And I remember we went out and we had a lady who was really sick, and we were bringing her in the ambulance, and when he got to number 11, he turned to the husband and he said, you sir, sit down and be quiet and don't bother people. Charlie Haythorn's weight. But he was an incredibly good doctor. Haythornthwaites in the world. You wouldn't think.
I've never heard of that name.
And I was reading something from the Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, and I found a psychiatrist whose name was Haythornthwaite, and I thought, honest to God, has to be part of the family. And I called her and left a phone message, and son of a bitch, she never called back. Now, I'd have thought she'd have been curious enough. I gave her, gave her a few things to make her wonder, but absolutely. Why don't you just head for the Dublin Castle? Yeah, no, however you do it. I must say, there's a pub in the Gresham, which was the high point of being there. A place called Toddy's, a really lovely pub. A nice place to go in and sit and have a drink. And that was where I carried out what I was ordered to do, and that was to try the Budweiser over here. To see why people would drink Budweiser, because at home it's considered to be garbage.
Well, it was lovely when it came here first, but now it's not as nice as it used to be. I don't know what they're doing to it.
Well, I didn't have a pint, I had a glass, I was glad to say. And but this church down, as we go on down, lads, you see it ahead of you there with the statue on top, St. Mary's Pro-Cathedral. It is, nobody seems to be able to tell you why it's called a pro-cathedral. That is lost somewhere in the dim, dead past. But it is the seat of the Catholic bishop, or actually archbishop, I suppose. And, but it's hemmed in, there's no room around it, and inside it's not an incredibly impressive church. It's nice, but it's nothing really special. And the only reason, if we had a load of time, I'd let you go in and read on the back of the statue on the main altar. The main altar was donated by James and Mary Corballis of Ratoath, County Dublin, and they are actually buried in the crypt under the church. So my name is Corballis.
Yeah, I knew that. And where they relate to?
So anyway, there it is. You can say you've been past it. Maybe we own the what the hell do you call the places where they lend you money with the 3 balls up?
Oh, pawnbroker.
Pawnbroker. Couldn't think of the word.
Not many of them left.
Yeah. But the Corballises from Ratoath are part of the family, not our part, but part of the Corballis family. But another branch, the big money came into the family when a fellow who'd been in the military, and I don't know how he amassed his fortune, but he left something in the neighborhood of 600,000 pounds 100 years ago, when it was real money, to these 2 brothers and their sister, under the proviso that they would remain in Ireland and not leave the country. Well, very sensibly, they chose to stay in Ireland. And but James and Jerningham, who spent a lot of time as dilettantes in and around Dublin with the money left to them by this lad.
This is the 4 courts up here?
No,
this is the custom house.
That's
Okay.
a custom house.
We just done that.
We had to go around and around because of the one-way streets.
It's all
It's
one-way
so
streets to
difficult.
see.
It is a very impressive building.
So we're going to just go across the new bridge and down the other side of the quays, then and straight on down.
You'll see the customs house as we go down. I mean, the forecourts as we go down further. when that was blown up by Collins and his people, it was from the hill where Christ Church Cathedral, roughly that hilly area, they were sort of on what they called open sites, just were able to drop the shells right onto it, because the anti-treaty people were all holed up in the forecourts. And unfortunately, the Civil War was on. If you ever get the chance again as you go up O'Connell Street, on the left-hand side, and I don't know whether it's I think it's the second street up, and I've forgotten its name, but it's rather wide, and in the first block was where they used to hold political meetings. They would have like an elevated stage for people to speak from. It was there all the time, because anytime anybody wanted to have a political meeting, that was where they had it. And in that movie, Collins, they showed a political meeting in that street.
That'd be Henry Street, wouldn't it?
I don't think it's Henry, but I'm not sure. I think it's one down from Henry.
I think the one before Henry is like on your lane, side of the GPO.
Yeah, because I walked on Henry the other day. I went to a chemist shop there.
I think when you go round, the first one is Abbey Street. And lower.
Right.
First Street. The next one down is only like a little laneway. And then I think the next one is Henry Street.
Is it? Well,
There's a couple of bridge, Little Abbey Street, Henry Street, and then there's just a little small lane.
yeah, but that might be extra wide. It's a very short street.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that may be the one, because it's
Right.
wider than.
Princess Street, no.
And also, if you ever get back here, one of the things, and I didn't have a chance to do it, is I'd love to have you go to the Abbey Theater. Not difficult to get tickets, and the different things showing there, but it wouldn't matter what's showing. Just to absorb the history, and it's a great thing to do.
I think they're actually moving the Abbey now.
Are they really?
Some talk of that.
I remember when the old one burned down, and they went
There was a whole to-do about it on the news one night. There was people protesting against what they were going to do. I'm not a great theatre goer, but I think it would take a lot of heat.
Yeah, there's the Liberator. When we lived here, we spent a lot of time walking up and down the quays here. I don't know why, but for some reason, this was all very familiar territory to your mother and me. And in fact, we spent a lot of time trying to find those electroplated nickel-silver teapots. By damn, we found them. The little fish right along in here. Yep, there we are. This is the Halfpenny Bridge here. And yeah, the Dublin Willem is still there, Susie. See it? On the yellow building in
Yes.
the corner? the sign up on the roof?
Yep, I see it.
I wonder if they still remember me.
Where are they just parked waiting for you? They have a shop there.
They
called
may.
the Mullen Mills as well.
Yeah. Well, I used to. My wife was a great sewer, and I used to go in there all the time and buy yard goods. And it got to the point where oh, the doctor from Galway, come in. And Temple Bar is into the left.
The building there.
Here's the forecourts. And as you remember, Susie, we were in the taxi driving along. We were on the other side that day. I don't know how we could, but they.
Yeah, they
And
used to have to cross back.
When you folks saw the Clarence Hotel,
Oh god.
you all said, "Oh my God, I hope we're not staying there." And
And we
the
were.
guy swung around. I said, "Well, here's our hotel." That was
It was a
before
dump.
Bono
Which
and
one's
U2
the one that Bono owns?
refurbished it.
Granddad.
The Clarence.
Yes.
Where is it?
on
The
left
Clarence
here.
up here on the left.
Okay. I like to get a picture of it. That's why.
And I must say, they were so
Wait,
damn
wait.
decent that right here. When we told them we just couldn't stay, and they the girl at the desk sent the doorman out, returned our deposit, which they had certainly under no obligation to do that. But
I think they knew it going
that
downhill.
was just nice people. I was intrigued by this building here. Is that a Turkish bath or
No,
bathhouse?
that's called Sunlight House. And there was a brand of washing soap for washing clothes with the old way. And I think that's was the headquarters of the company that manufactured the soap. It's called Sunlight House.
It's a very interesting building with all
Yeah.
the carving and stuff.
I think, yeah, it's called Sunlight House. Well, that's what it used to be called. Sunlight Chambers.
That's the forecourts over there, Granddad, with the
Forecourts, that's
copper
right.
dome.
Exactly. You'll be able to see it better when we get around Christchurch Cathedral, because you'll be up high and you'll be able to get a
And
shot.
that building directly in front is City Hall.
Now, on Dawson Street is the Mansion House.
That's right.
The Lord Mayor lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but probably has his office here to run things. Or is this,
Probably.
wait, the county, the city council, or
I think it's the City Council.
city council? Yeah.
It's another building I've never been in. Someday I'll take a day off and go into it.
Explore your city.
Yeah.
Oh, and along the Liffey there on the far side, there used to be a whole lot of auction houses. And it was there that we bought the brass stair rods for the house at home. And the fella didn't have the clips that held them to the stairs. And he said, we were on our way to catch a plane. But he said, it's a holiday weekend coming up. I'll go down the cellar and look and see if I can find them. We came back 3 years later, and just out of perversity, I went in and asked him if he found the clips. I said, I haven't had a chance, but I'll get down this weekend and take a look. God bless you.
Fantastic. Space. You're going to go into Dublin?
Yes, we are. Yeah. You're riding in great luck today, aren't you?
I think I'll go and pick a few lotto numbers.
I was going to say, it's a day to go to the track.